And we are live.
Good evening. I'm Dick Brusher, the chairman of the Parking Authority. This is our regularly scheduled meeting for June 24th, 2020. I want to do a roll call for those people who are here. And please signal so that we can record that. Mike Harden.
Here.
Eric Rains.
Here.
Judd Ailey.
Here.
And Tom Vetter. Tom Vetter.
There he is.
Are you here, Tom Vetter?
I think he's gonna, yeah. He just clicked.
Okay.
Anthony's gonna have to change his name. Well, it's okay.
That's all right. I'll recognize Tom anyway, and I won't confuse him with you. So that's okay. All right, so we have a full agenda here. Public comment, Catherine, any?
I did not receive any.
Okay, so we have no public comment. So let's go with the agenda that we have. We need to approve the minutes from the special meeting that we had on the 10th of June. I've looked them over and communicated with Delene, and I'm okay with it. Does anybody have any additions or corrections to those June 10th minutes?
I noticed that I was marked absent, which is really okay, but I was listening. I don't know if you want to, I mean, I wasn't really participating, but I did listen. That was the one that I was stuck in traffic with the whole time and could only listen.
No, why don't we explain that to Lane that that Mike, while he couldn't participate, was listening to the dialogue and discussion.
Okay, I will.
All right. Anybody? If no one has any additions, somebody make a motion that we approve the minutes of that meeting. Eric Rains, second. Judd Ailey, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
It passes. The second is the approval of suspending the Norwalk Parking Authority's decision early in the year to absorb the Connecticut tax. And this is before, obviously, we knew anything about the COVID-19 situation when we said we would do that. A little background, I think you all know this, that Catherine and I met with the Board of Estimate and Taxation, and they thought it was terrific that we would reach out to the public and pick that up, but not sustainable in the economic environment that we're in right now. We agree with that. We talked about this, and I'd like to have a motion that we move forward and we stop absorbing that cost as of the 1st of July, 2020, which will result in a savings of $182,000 in expenses for the parking authority for the budgeted year of the next fiscal year. Can I have a motion on that we move forward?
This is Tom. I'll move.
Okay. Second?
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Well,
Okay.
the ayes have it.
Thank you. That moves.
Hey,
Dick, yes.
Is this for the Park mobile app only, or is this everything?
No, it is for the parts of the revenue that the state has determined are taxable.
Okay.
And it adds up to 182,000. Now, obviously, the 182,000 is something that we will be saving from our expense line for the next fiscal year. That will be helpful as we try to protect as much as we can of the fund balance. On the other hand, I don't think that we're going to generate that kind of revenue from the public because we're starting slow and building up. But from a budgeting point of view, it will remove $182,000. Let's see. All right, the next is the election of officers. Pardon me? Oh, I thought Catherine said something. I had talked to Mike earlier and told him I would be more than happy to endorse the ticket of Mike and Eric Raines and Delane Bird. Unfortunately, I'm sitting in the chair right now, so I'm not allowed to do that. So I'm going to turn to my favorite advocate on the board, Mr. Vedder. Would you make that motion for me, Tom?
That sounds like a wonderful motion, Dick. I would be happy to endorse Mike Harden as chair, Eric Raines as vice chair, and Delane Bird as secretary.
Can I have a second to that, Judd?
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Sure.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Congratulations, Mike and Eric.
Thank you.
And I know you'll do well. Yes.
Thank
Hooray.
you.
We're down to the
Lobster for everyone.
Lobster for everybody.
that's a wise decision. Yeah. We have the chairman's report. It'll be a brief one. We have dry weather up here at Martha's Vineyard, as you do down there. Patsy and I lost both of our car keys last week and found one of them. So we are now with transportation. And we are enjoying the, as I said before, the waves of our family that are coming in a little bit of a time. And I'm making some progress on the writing that I'm spending a lot of time doing up here. And finally, it's been a pleasure working with all of you over the last few years. And importantly, when we look back at the things that we've had to wrestle with and what we've accomplished, I think that you all should feel very good about that. I know I do. Eric and Judd, I guess we're going to get you to talk about the recovery plan.
Okay, Staffy will bring up his shared file, so
Okay.
he can do that.
While he's doing that, Dick, just thank you for your guidance and your leadership over these years. And as this transition happens, it's extremely good news to me that you're going to remain as a board member.
Thank you.
Yes, I would absolutely agree with that. Your work and your time over the last few years has been a lot, and we really appreciate it. Definitely.
I'll add my 2 cents worth, Dick. You've been a wonderful leader for the time I've been on the board, and glad you're hanging around to help out still.
Even if I have strained the gray areas of Robert's rules, which I understand. And you've been there to help me on that, Tom. Thank you.
Robert who?
And let me just say from a staff point of view, you have been an amazing leader and mentor to all of us. And we really, in your tenure, which I think it's 6 years, Dick, right? Is it 5 or 6?
Whatever, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have accomplished so much, and Norwalk and the Norwalk Parking Authority is so much better for it. And from my personal point of view, I so much appreciate your guidance. It's been amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Dick, as I said last month when I called you, when I found out that you were stepping down, you've done a phenomenal job, and I'm glad that you're still here on the board with us. You've been a great leader. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thank you, everybody. Okay, we're back to business now, and Eric and Judd, you're up.
Can you see the screen?
We can see it.
Yep.
And, I think I should just say, too, that it's been a pleasure, Dick, and it's nice to see a board that's engaged and active in day-to-day, too, to accomplish all the things that you've done under your leadership. So big shoes to fill, but the Lobster Man can do it.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
All right. Don't start with the pressure yet. It's still his meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, very quickly, because apparently my hand up doesn't mean anything. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
We can't see you, so we didn't know your hand was.
I just wanted to say thank you to Dick for everything he's done and all the years he's committed. Thank you very much. And Mike, congratulations, and you have some big shoes to fill.
Yes.
Oh, that's you, George, under Catherine. Oh my God. I'm like,
Yeah.
That's me. That's why you can't.
there's way too many of us. You know, like, I don't know how the world can handle one of me, but now we almost had 4, but okay.
I'm sorry, I have bad Wi-Fi working in Sono.
All right. Yeah.
My apologies, guys. I
Thank
have
you,
bad
George.
Wi-Fi. I'm trying to work in Sono.
Okay. Oh, there, George, you're back. Okay, good.
Nice.
Okay. All right.
Judge Eric.
You know, we can look at the second page here with all the numbers. But to me, what's more important is the third and fourth page, which is transient activity, which is only at 34%. But
Do you want me to skip to that slide, or you want me to?
yeah, if you don't mind, if someone wants to come back to this, we can. Go
The
back one.
transient.
Yep. So you see the total transient, we're at 34% of what we were at a year ago, but that number is up 6% from 2 weeks ago. So there's an upward trend here, which is encouraging.
Can I add something, Jed, please?
Absolutely.
Okay, when we first started putting some projections together, we made an activity assumption of 25% starting in June. So we're at for the transient activity. So right now we're at 34%, and we're not even through the month of June. So we exceeded our targets.
Yeah, very good. Quite frankly, I'm surprised, but I'm happily surprised.
Right. So we'll hope it continues. And permit activity has been pretty steady for the last couple of weeks, around 92%, I think.
Yep.
Stas, I think that's what it was.
Yes, 92%. I have it on the slide here too.
Yeah.
So those are the two numbers to me that are important.
Yep. Yeah.
So, Eric, you want to add to this?
No, I would agree that the earlier pages just break this into dollars, but it tells the same story. So, you know, the 9% they were over the projected budget is extremely good news. Hopefully,
We can't hear you, Eric. I don't
Yeah.
know. But you're like faded into, like, I don't even know what.
now.
Yeah.
Better.
Yeah.
I was just saying that the earlier pages just tell the same story, but just in dollars and cents. So yeah, so Judd, you're exactly right. It's all good news.
So maybe,
Good news given the current environment out there.
Yes.
Yeah.
So fortunately, the projection, Catherine and Rob and staff is, you know, helped us establish, you know, where they were right on target with the benchmark that created ahead of those a little bit. And the rest of the budget plays out the way we hope, then there's a light at the end of the rainbow when we'll be back on course. So I don't think there's another. What's the page?
oh, I think that a good one to show is the activity on the touchless parking programs that the parking authority rolled out and promoted. So maybe Steph, you go to that one, do you think? Real quick. The other one. Yeah,
So which one you want?
that one.
That one.
Yeah.
So you can see the results of, Text to Park is the newest initiative that we have. And you can see from just June 8th to June 23rd that we have, 305 transactions. So, I would say that's pretty good traction, kind of right out of the gate. And then, obviously below that, we've had pay by phone for a while now. So we're just tracking those numbers that would coincide with the upswing that we're seeing in the overall numbers.
That's good.
This is the same.
Yep.
So we talked about, the Elizabeth Street. Yeah. We had spoken about issuing the courtesy cards to Elizabeth Street in response to losing the 28 parking spaces on Washington Street, that it would put more pressure on those other streets. So we have begun that program.
Then finally, well, that's it. That's the last slide. So we talked about moving forward with this information, and really, I think it's safe to say at this point that what we're doing is just reporting. And we on the components of the recovery plan that we all put in place, and all of those are in place at this point. So it's really just a matter of reporting on how we're doing performance against the modified budget.
But you're feeling pretty good about what the projections are and where we are.
I am. I think so. I mean, as New York City opens up, I think we're going to see more activity. Aside from permitting.
Yeah.
Well, the good news also is if this activity is picking up, hopefully all the businesses are being energized by that as well.
Right, exactly.
Yep. All right.
Stoth, do you have a number for how many people are using the South Norwalk train station? Parking?
You're muted, Staff.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna ask Rocky to pull that up. I don't have that in front of me, do I?
Hi, Rocky. You're muted.
You're muted, Rocky.
We've got permit parkers, though. You talking about permit parkers?
Yes.
Transient. Oh, the permit parkers. I can pull up the slide again if we need to. There's 97% of last year's activity in terms of number of parkers. So 733 as opposed to 757 last
But
year.
those are the people that have got their permits, but who's using them? How, how many cars are going into the lot? Yeah.
I'll let Rocky maybe touch on that if.
Okay.
On Mike, on a transient level, so far, through the 23rd, there's only 116 daily parkers using the parking garage. But on permit side of it, even though we have still the 750 permit parkers, we're seeing only about 60 to 70 key cards being used. So some are still keeping it, and we expect that number to start increasing as New York opened up this past Monday for the second phase. So we're seeing, we're expecting usage to increase going forward.
Which is great because 2 weeks ago there were 6 cars in the lot.
Correct.
So that's a big increase, and that's very encouraging.
Yep.
Mike, keep in mind also that Metro North was on a reduced schedule up until recently.
Right.
They were only running trains every hour. Then they increased that to every half hour, and now they're slowly increasing it again. Again, ramping it up slowly, but that's what also impacted activity.
Yeah, the last 2 weeks we've seen I've seen it go from a ghost town to more activity. There's people walking around, there's people taking taxis, there's people driving, so it's good.
The other thing to let you all know is the microtransit. We are rolling that out starting July 2nd again.
Okay.
Good.
Is that Thursday, Friday?
It'll be
Thursday.
Yes, Thursday, Friday. Yes, it'll be the same schedule as before. There is an expanded geography. There is an expanded geography in around the Day Street area, and they will also be charging. I'm not sure if they're going to be charging the $2. That might get subsidized by the redevelopment agency at the beginning.
Okay. We have Stathis and Rocky. I guess we have the financial report and the operations report.
Yeah, so I talked to Catherine about how we wanted to start presenting going forward. So this month, we because of there isn't much activity, we wanted to present it in this way. Next month is going to be the last month of the fiscal year. We're going to have a more complete operations report similar to the one before the pandemic, so we can finish out the year and fill in all the gaps for all the reports and all the graphs and everything like that. So hopefully that's acceptable to everybody.
Yeah, so you should have a complete look then at the current fiscal year.
Right.
Okay, good idea.
Okay.
And that's it, huh?
And I mean, that's it. I think.
Fine. I just want to know what you want to report.
Yeah, Tom and Eric and Judd and Mike. I think they've hit on everything that's really going on. I mean, there is a reactivation of the system, and people are coming back on the permit side. That's I think very good news when you see the high percentage of return parkers that are actually paying. They may not be using the space right now, but it's important enough for them to keep the permit because they know they're coming back to work, and maybe they're coming only part-time now. And on the transient side, yeah, we've beaten the projections, and that means the reforecast plan that was put together for the board to approve, or when they went to look for revenue from the fund balance, is right on point and favorable to that plan. So that's all good.
And I think the other important thing is that you have some data right now since we started to enforce. And I think it was very good that there was a number of tickets that were given out, because that's what enforcement's about. And so all of that is, I think, a positive. And I think going back to the beginning of this discussion, when those of you, including Mike and Eric, that said we should go back to the full price of the parking, and that there would not be a major negative because there'd still be the need for the parking. And I think that's starting to show itself out. So that's a good thing too.
Yeah.
All right. Any other business?
I just have a quick
Yes.
a quick comment. The parking team, we're going to put together a report of what worked and what didn't work during the COVID response and recovery, in case, well, God willing not, that we have a surge or any other kind of emergency, some type of benchmark guideline. And I spoke to you briefly before about doing that. It'll be just a report on that. I think that'll be very useful to the parking authority and to parking team going forward.
Anybody else? Any other business?
I do. I have one thing. I'd like to get everybody's opinion on July's, two things actually. One, do you want to continue meeting every 2 weeks, or should we go to our regularly scheduled meeting from here to July, to the end of July? And in conjunction with that, do you want to make it a live meeting and come together back at the Yankee Doodle Garage in a new configuration? Obviously, we would reset the tables to be far enough apart. Are there any objections to either of those?
Not for me.
Well, no.
Right. So, Dick. Okay. So, go ahead.
I have no objection, Mike, to the in-person distanced meeting, but
Right.
weren't clear about the 2 weeks. Do you think we should or shouldn't do that?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I kind of threw it out there to talk about. If we feel we should meet one more time in 2 weeks, then we will. Otherwise, if we don't feel, how do you feel?
Personally, I would be willing to skip that unless something arises over the next week or so, and we need to. We could schedule something. It's not a big deal to do.
Do you guys mind if I weigh in on this?
Who's that? George?
George. Sorry, guys. I'm using my phone and I'm still at work, so I'm trying.
It's okay. Go ahead.
All right. I can't find the raise the hand button on the phone. Okay, I'm sorry. You can't see me, but I'm raising my hand. So it's kind of similar to us doing caucus right before council meetings, and we usually do it every other week. Right now, we're doing it weekly just because of everything going on and how it changes. So not drastically, but it changes weekly, daily. It depends. I think one more month, if you guys don't mind, and it's up to you. It's up to you guys. But I think one more month of just twice a month isn't a bad idea. So that's just my opinion.
I have no problem with that.
Eric, how do you feel?
I'm fine with one more month. That's fine.
Why don't we do one more meeting in 2 weeks, Zoom, and then have our regularly scheduled meeting at the end of the month as our first live back, as long as things are continuing to compress. And I don't usually buy this paper, but as you see, they're talking about Connecticut being one of the best states in the nation for recovery. And I think we're doing pretty well. And unless there's any drastic change in that, then let's do that. Let's do a Zoom meeting in 2 weeks and a live meeting in a month.
Yep.
It's good by me.
Sounds like a plan.
So, Mike, what we'll do for the meeting in 2 weeks, we'll update the PowerPoint deck. And then you'll have something to talk about, unless you want something else.
Yes, no, that's fine.
Parking Authority wants something. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. If that's okay, I'd prefer that, because then that'll give us time to get all the financial statements closed and updated, and give us time to put that the full operation report together in later July meeting.
Sounds right.
Right.
So that works for everybody?
Yes.
Apparently, yes, it does. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I got.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yep. Eric and I talked as part of our recovery plan. We had talked about temporary street parking on West Washington, and we just wanted to see if the rest of the commission feels that's something we should pursue. It would be paint and signs with, using the Park mobile app. I don't know how the rest of you feel about that. Dick, Tom, Mike?
Well, I think that would be up to Mike in setting the agenda for the emergency meeting or the regularly scheduled meeting, because what you're suggesting is you would like to have a discussion about that subject, and then Mike would fit that into the agenda.
Yeah, well, I was hoping we could just talk about it briefly. I think Eric and I were, thinking we talk about it now under other business. I mean, it doesn't have to be a long thing, but Mike, if you want to put that off till the next meeting.
I'm okay to talk about it now. Tell me again what your thought is.
So West Washington Street, there's potential to add 20 curbside parking spots over there. There's a long-term infrastructure plan to redo the street, but it's about 5 years old and it's not on the books to be done anytime soon. And, you know, Eric and I had talked about that I don't know, what did we lose? 20 spots?
28.
28. Right, and this would fill in that gap, give more convenient parking than say over on Elizabeth Street does, and it would give the parking authority some much needed income too. And I think the question here is, do we want city staff to begin to put together a budget for that striping and the whole process of it?
Tell me, you said West Washington.
Yeah, over by the post office.
By the post office.
Yes.
Do we not? We have spaces in front of the post office.
But in front of 50 Washington Street?
Yes. 10 years ago, there used to be parking on both sides of the street. And then I wasn't very involved in the city then, but somehow it got reconfigured with 2 lanes running east and 1 lane running west. And again, the city has a long-term infrastructure plan to redo that street with raised crosswalks and bump outs and things, but it's not anywhere on the calendar soon.
Oh, may I just add one thing? Actually, we're finalizing the design for that, Judd. So, well, I think that we just got a little bit delayed because of the COVID, but the drawings are almost complete. We are just waiting on one little thing from DOT because of the walk program to really finalize that. But the idea was to really put it out to bid this fall.
And then it would be built next year. Is that?
Yes.
Okay.
With a spring
I just want to add that I have plans on my computer that are from 2014. And as you all know, I'm a big advocate of street parking. So once I saw those plans, I started asking, and every year, and as I say, I'm not blaming anyone. I just know how things go. And for the last 5 years, every year I hear the same thing. It's going to happen next year. So.
TMP have been working on these drawings recently.
Uh-huh.
So also one of the reasons why that project didn't go out to bid is that we were waiting for 50 Washington Street to be finalized so we can do the road. And there is another thing that we have to still work, and we were waiting for the park to be complete. So it's really in the pipe. Pretty much we have most of the drawings complete. It's just getting the as-built from 50 Washington to be overlay on the proposed road project. So that's kind of where we are. There is only one little thing. There is another negotiation that we're going with DOT, but that would change. Hopefully by this fall, we'll be able to figure everything out and get out to bid. So the plan is to have it next year, particularly because that is a state fund project. So if we don't put it out to bid, we may not have those funds available in the future.
So Vanessa, is there, one of the things we talked about was that since it really is just, or potentially could be just paint, could we not get spaces? Could the traffic authority, could they put spaces with just painting the lines until the project happens, to bridge the gap between right now and when the project starts?
Sure, and I think that can work. I'm just bring it up that I don't think that the project is 5 years from now. Of course, a lot of things can happen. We are also, it's a state-funded project, but I look at those drawings on maybe not more than a month and a half ago when I sent a red to the designer. So I know it's in the pipe. So that's what I just want to disclose.
So really, if there's interest on our part to see it done, if I'm understanding it correctly, it's really our request to the traffic authority that they do it and that we simply manage it.
That's correct.
Right.
If everybody's in favor, we put that request forward to the traffic authority so that hopefully it would get in motion sooner than later. And since it is just paint, then we manage it through pay by Excel and text by text to pay.
I think you're going to want to get the financial impact of it too. What's it going to cost to do this? I don't imagine it's going to be a lot of money, but you should have that in your arsenal as you're evaluating this.
Yeah, go ahead, Kat.
Yeah, we talked about this. Yeah, I think it's doable. It's not going to be a lot of money, and we will get you something for the next meeting.
That would be great. Also, if you could do a prediction on the parking revenue that it would generate, if we have 20 spaces and stuff, that would be helpful too.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll be 20, but we'll see what we can do. Okay.
Yeah, Michael.
I have a question. When the outdoor permit, when the outdoor permits for dining has ended, aren't we getting back those spaces for the late fall, winter, and
middle of October, I think.
As of now, it is following the outdoor dining period, which goes through October 15th.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. So,
but
we're really,
Mike, the other side you'll have to decide. It's right now, it's all 15 minutes for curbside pickup, which seems to be a very viable solution for the restaurants right now.
And maybe past October.
And either way, I think it's a great idea if we can add parking to the South Norwalk, Washington Street core is a great idea. The sooner the better, even if Vanessa is coming down the pipe with a plan. If we can restripe that road or ask to have it restriped sooner than later, I think that's a very positive thing for the area.
How do we do that?
I think we just did.
No, so who
You're providing the parking team direction.
So we're requesting that staff put it through to the parking authority?
No, put it through to the traffic.
No, we'll come back to you. Hopefully we'll come back to you in the next 2 weeks with, to say, these are for the project, because you asked for the projected revenues and the potential costs of doing this.
Right.
And whether it be 20, whatever it is.
I guess that's what I'm not understanding. If it's the traffic authorities to do it, then why are we determining costs?
They just approve it, Eric.
You cannot do any changes you cannot add parking to the right of way. You cannot change a road or close a road for more than 48 hours if you don't go through the traffic authority. So I think that the right step is what Catherine is saying, that first you should evaluate your financials and see if it is worth pursuing that. So after you guys agree and vote to pursue that, then you're gonna ask the traffic authority to authorize those spaces. And then they're gonna approve, and then we'll go back and then we can implement.
Okay, so we build it and we just with their permission.
Correct.
Because the parking spaces don't really exist there right now.
I thought they built it and then we just managed it. Okay, I understand.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
It's all under, right now, it's all under one department. There is a department, which I'm the director, Transportation, Mobility, and Parking. So it all comes out under that. But I think it makes sense to evaluate, look into what the projected revenues were as well.
Well, back to Judd's original point. You should have all that information, and And Mike, if you want, you can put that on your agenda.
On
for
the agenda, yeah, I will.
a special meeting in 2 weeks and deal with it then and move it forward.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Anything else?
I do. I just also want to just echo what everybody said before, Dick, that it has been a pleasure to work under your guidance. You know, I'm happy that you're still working with us, and has been very interesting and in a good way to have you as the chairman. And also, Mike, I'm looking forward to work with you. I know that we're still going to continue doing a lot of good things.
Yes.
Mr. Vetter,
Thank you.
I'm up.
you're up.
Okay. I move we adjourn. Wonderful meeting.
Second, Eric Rains. All those in favor?
Peace out.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.